Hello everyone, this is Meenal Reddy. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss about the power system operation and control, topics related to power system stability. Mainly, in this video lecture, I am going to discuss about the improvement strategies of the steady state stability and also of transient stability and factors affecting transient stability. So these are the contents of my video. Then at the end of this video lecture, you will be able to understand, or learner will be able to understand or summarize the methods of improvement of steady state stability. They can identify factors affecting transient stability and can explain methods of improvement of transient stability. So before going to start the actual topic of improvement of steady state stability, I will just brief about the what is the stability. The ability of the interconnected power system to return its normal or stable operation after having been subjected to some form of disturbances. So this is called as the stability of a power system. That means after disturbances, system will be in equilibrium. So there are three types of stability: steady state, transient and dynamic. Steady state stability occur due to slow disturbances. In case of transient, there will be a large disturbances, and in case of dynamics, there will be a continually occurring small disturbances. By studying steady state stability, we can determine upper limit of machine loading. In case of transient stability, it will help to analyze the fault of the particular system, and for analysis of system, dynamic stability can be used. The period for study normally considered in case of steady state is more than 1 second. For transient, it is within 1 second, and for dynamics it is 5 to 10 seconds. So this is all or about the types of stability and overall stability. So let us discuss improvement of steady state stability. So in that case, a system can be operated above its transient stability but not above its steady state limit. So we have to maintain the steady state stability of a particular system. So with increased fault clearing speed, it is possible to make the transient stability limit closely approach the steady state limit. Second thing is that we have an equation of maximum power transfer, that is EV upon X12. That means X12 is the reactance that is transferring from one generator to load. So from this equation, we can improve the steady state stability limit by reducing the reactance, that is X12, as it is inversely proportional to the maximum power transfer, and can be increased either increasing the voltage or EMF, that is E or V of the generator. Then if transmission line are sufficiently high reactance, the stability limit can be raised by using two parallel lines, which incidentally also increases the reliability of the system. This is the another method to improve the steady state stability. Then series capacitors are sometimes employed in lines to get better voltage regulation and to raise the stability limit by decreasing the line reactance. This is the another method. And the last, high excitation voltage and quick excitation system are also employed to improve the stability limit. So this is all about to improve the system steady state stability of the system. Now let us see factor affecting transient stability. Normally there are 4 to 5 factors that can affect the transient stability. Let us see one by one. So first is the post disturbance reactance. If the post disturbance reactance octane is weaker than the post fault maximum power transfer, at that condition, due to this weaker reactance, maximum power transfer is lower and hence the system may undergo in unstable condition. That's why due to post disturbance reactance, if it is less, then the system will goes into the unstable condition. And second is fault clearing time. The longer the fault is applied, the longer the rotor will be accelerated and more kinetic energy will be gained. The more energy that is gained during acceleration, the more difficult it is to dissipate in during deceleration. So if fault clearing time is much, so we have to face the difficulty in to dissipate the energy during deceleration. Third is the inertia of the generator. The higher the inertia, the lower the rate of change of angle, and due to this the kinetic energy gain during fault. So if the higher the inertia, slower is the rate of change of angle, and due to slower rate of change of angle, there will be a time of gaining the kinetic energy. Next is the internal voltage of generator and infinite bus voltage. The lower the voltage, the power maximum will be lower. As we see earlier, the equation of power maximum power transfer is P max is equal to EV upon X. So as internal voltage is lower, the maximum power transfer will be lower. So it should be higher. Next is the loading of generator prior to disturbance. The higher the loading, the closer unit will be to maximum power transfer, which means that during acceleration it is more likely to be unstable. So as disturbance prior to disturbance, if loading is greater, the system may undergoes into the unstable system or unstable condition. And the last is the internal reactance of a generator. The lower the reactance, the higher the peak power and the lower the initial angle. So these all factors are affect the transient stability. Now let us see how we can improve the transient stability of a system. So first method is reduction in transmission line reactance. So this can be achieved by adding additional parallel transmission circuit, providing series compensation on existing circuits, and by using transformer with lower reactances. So to reduce the transmission line reactors, we can achieve this by additional parallel transmission line. Next is the high speed fault clearing. In general, two cycle breakers are used in locations where fault must be removed quickly to maintain the stability. But as the speed of fault clearing decreases, so does the amount of kinetic energy gained by the generator during the fault also decreases. So this will improve the transient stability of the system, as we have to decrease the kinetic energy during the fault. Next is the dynamic braking. Shunt resistance can be switched in following a fault to provide an artificial load, and due to this increases the electrical output of the machines and reduces the rotor acceleration. So we can improve by simply adding shunt resistance during the fault condition. Next is the regulate shunt compensation. By maintaining system voltage around the power system, the flow of synchronizing power between the generators is improved. So we have to maintain shunt compensation to improve the transient stability of the system. Next is the rotor switching. The initial voltage of the generator and therefore stability can be increased by connecting shunt reactor to the system. Next is the single pole switching. Most of the power system faults are of the single line to ground type. However, in most schemes, this type of fault will trip all three phases. If single pole switching is used, only the faulted phase is removed and power can flow on the remaining two phases, thereby greatly reducing the impact of disturbance. So by using single pole switching for a particular phase, we can improve the transient stability of the system. Next is the steam turbine fast valving. Steam valves are rapidly closed and opened to reduce the generator accelerating power in response to disturbance. So whenever disturbance is occurred, we have to close and open steam valve quickly. That's why by using steam turbine fast valving, we can improve the transient stability of the system. Next is the generator tripping. Perhaps one of the oldest and most common method of improving transient stability. This approach disconnects selected generator in response to a disturbance, and this has effect of reducing power that can be required to be transferred over critical transmission interfaces. Next is high speed excitation system. Increasing the internal voltage of a generator has the effect of improving transient stability. As we see, the formula for maximum power transfer is EV upon X. This can be achieved by fast acting excitation system that can be rapidly boost field voltage in response to disturbances. So by using high speed excitation system, we can boost the field voltage during disturbances, and this will achieve by fast acting excitation system and will improve the transient stability. Now next is the spatial excitation system controls. It is possible to design spatial excitation system that can be used discontinuous controls to provide spatial field boosting during transient period and thereby improving transient stability. So spatial excitation system can only provide the discontinuous controls for boosting the voltage during transient period. Next is the spatial control of HVDC link. The DC power on HVDC links can be rapidly ramped up or ramped down in maintaining generation load imbalance caused by disturbances. If there is a generation load disturbance, a mismatch, there will be disturbance in the system, and this imbalance can be achieved by using effect generation or load tripping, and this can be done with the help of HVDC link. Next is the controlled system separation and load shading. It is often feasible to design system controls that can respond to separate or island power system areas with balanced generation and load. Some load shading or generator tripping may also be required in selected islands. In event of a disturbance, instability can be prevented from propagating and affecting large areas by partitioning the system in this manner. That means during disturbances some area can be islanded which is more affected. If instability primarily results in generation loss, load shedding alone may sufficient to control the system. So in that condition, the best way is to islanding the particular area which having the disturbances, so it cannot affect another healthy area. So this is all about the improvement of transient stability. Thank you.